Hello everyone, welcome back to Biotic World. How are you all? Please comment. Yes, I hope you all are well and doing good in your studies. So today, let us compare prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. There are some common features of both type of cells. So the first feature is about the plasma membrane. So plasma membrane is of similar construction in both cells and the functions are also similar. Next, we have the genetic information encoded in DNA using identical genetic code. So genetic code is the simple term that is used in prokaryotic cells as well as in eukaryotic cells. So here also the genetic information encoded in DNA using identical genetic codes. Similar mechanisms for transcription and translation for genetic information including similar ribosomes. Alright, shared metabolic pathways. The metabolic pathways are also same, right? These are glycolysis and TCA cycle, having similar apparatus for conservation of chemical energy as ATP, located in the plasma membrane of prokaryotes and the mitochondrial membrane of eukaryotes. Next, we have the similar mechanism of photosynthesis between cyanobacteria and the green plants. Similar mechanism for synthesizing and inserting membrane proteins. Next, we have the proteasomes. These are the protein digesting structures. These also of the similar construction between archaebacteria and eukaryotics. So, why are these similarities takes place? Because the prokaryotes give rise to the eukaryotes. First, the prokaryotic organisms came into the world which give rise to. There was some additions in their properties, in their cell structure that give rise to the eukaryotic, right? So the relationship here is by the endosymbiotic theory. You all have studied about it. If not, then please go to the channel and search the endosymbiotic theory, right? There you can study about the relationship of characteristics between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, where mitochondria and the chloroplast came from the prokaryotes to the eukaryotes, right? Next, we can study about the features of eukaryotic cells that not found in prokaryotes. It is only because the cytoplasm is different and the organelles are different, but from prokaryotes, eukaryotes have only mitochondria and chloroplast, right? So now let us understand the differences, the feature of eukaryotic cells not found in prokaryote. Division of cells into nucleus and cytoplasm separated by a nuclear envelope containing complex pore structure. Have you ever seen the structure of eukaryotic cells? Here also a diagram which shows they have a nuclear envelope which covers nucleus inside the eukaryotic cells, right? So it's having the complex pore structures. Next, complex chromosomes composed of DNA and associated proteins that are capable of compacting into mitotic structure. So these having the speciality to compact its DNA right? Because eukaryotic organisms having the large DNA, right? And it's very complicated to store it. So there are the several proteins, these are called the associated proteins, that are capable of compacting into mitotic structures. Next we are talking about the complex membranous cytoplasmic organelles. So there are many cell organelles that are present in eukaryotic cells like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes, endosomes, peroxisomes, and glycosomes. Right? Specialized cytoplasmic organelles for aerobic respiration, mitochondria, and photosynthesis, chloroplast. Right? So, in case of prokaryotic organisms, they have the anaerobic respiration, right? In prokaryotes we have the bacterias, right? But in eukaryotes there is some modification, like for aerobic respiration and photosynthesis. Photosynthesis also takes place in prokaryote, but the differences are always between the functioning of organelles in prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Next we have complex cytoskeleton system, including microfilaments, intermediate filaments, and microtubules, and associated motor proteins, right? So these depends on the functioning and the characteristics that the eukaryotic cells does, that require a stiff body, right? And to stand for the long time, like in case of the plants, and we see in case of the animals, there are various things between eukaryotics and the prokaryotic cells. Next we have the complex flagella and cilia. So in prokaryotic organisms you can see one of them, ability to ingest fluid and particulate materials by enclosure within plasma membrane vesicles, endocytosis and phagocytosis, cellulose containing cell walls in plants. So plants have walls that contains cellulose. Endocytosis and phagocytosis are like to engulf its own cell at the time of emergency, or if a cell died, so our body engulfs that cell. Cell division using a microtubule containing mitotic spindle that separate chromosomes. In terms of like mitotic division, right, we have studied about these spindle fibers in class 10 or in year 10. Presence of 2 copies of genes per cell known as diploidy, one from each parent. So it takes place in the case of eukaryotes, that the genetic material came from the 2 parents. So it makes a diploidy cell with n to n number of chromosomes. Next, we have the presence of 3 different RNA synthesizing enzymes known as the RNA polymerases, right? Sexual reproduction requiring meiosis and fertilization. So in eukaryotic cells, there are both type of reproduction, like sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So we will talk about these detail in different lectures when we are doing covering the respective organelle or some other topics that cover the complete information. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.